This, in fact, is a Burrell engine made specifically to the orders of a showman from Worcestershire. This is the Burrell showman's engine. An engine, quite a useful thing to tow their fairground equipment around to the show field. So they started using ordinary road locomotive traction engines. And then showground men, fairground men, being as they are, they decided that they would tart it up a little bit. So they started putting on the candlestick support on the canopies. They got a lot more brass and chrome, and nickel and plate on the. It was more of a utilitarian piece of equipment, which was used purely and simply as a motive power for the engine, for the fairground. It wasn't really until the 1950s and the 60s when the showman's engine became a decorative piece that it became more to the fore in the fairground. And then soon after, this is I'm not going to be rude, Jeff, but this is a fairly basic engine in that it's a single cylinder, it's got no canopy, it's got no weather protection at all, but a very, very useful type of engine that was used for general agricultural use, which is a very important part of the National Traction Engine Trust. And this is one way, with this small boy being under close supervision of Dave, who rumour has it that he's a reasonable engine man, wouldn't say a good one, just a reasonable one. Dave is looking after this small boy and showing him the ropes, and this is a way that we can use to closely supervise trainees in the interest of steam engines. Now the Burrell, the dustbin-like structure, there is the engine. Now all traction engines are big kettles really. There's a fire down in the black bit on the engine, which is the firebox, and that heats water, which in fact is turned into steam, and the steam is held at about 150 pounds pressure until required in the cylinders. This particular Hornsby engine is just a single cylinder, and completely different on the top of the with the cylinders. There we've got two cylinders, so we've got steam that's used at high pressure. On the compound engines we have steam that's used at high pressure. Was sold new to a farmer by the name of Percy Blake, who was a farmer contractor on the Isle of Wight, and it actually was used from its inception in 1909 until 1946. And there it sort of lay derelict for quite a long time before it was rebuilt. It took about 18 years to rebuild it, and as we can see as it comes past us, what a great machine here. The tractor that's coming past me now was new into Cornwall in 1903, and then it moved up in 1921 into Suffolk. And it was actually only went into preservation about 30 years. And then the steam, once it's exhausted, it goes into a second cylinder, a low pressure cylinder, where it's used a second time. This means that these engines were far more economical in the use of steam, and it also meant that the engine could use less coal, it could use less water, and they were far more efficient to enable the road to be compressed quickly. But it's important, certainly with rollers, that they're not too heavy, because if they are, they tend to push a wave of tarmac or stone in front of them, and that then would create ripples in the road. That's something that has to be avoided. So once you get above about 12.5 tons, that is just about the limit that road rollers are built to. Now the start-off controls, the engine has gone from backwards to forwards. Can you do it again, Peter? Forwards to backwards, almost instantaneously. Now that is, thank you, that is most important when road rollers are actually being used, because if the roller stops while the gear is having to be changed, it means that on hot tarmac it'll sink into the road and again leave nasty, horrible grooves, a little bit like some of these speed control bumps that we have on the roads today. So that reversing lever is a most important part of the equipment on a road roller. The back rolls, they are virtually the same as the traction engines, but they haven't got any cleats built onto them. But you don't want cleats when you're trying to flatten out tarmac. The front roller, as we can see on this Wallace & Stevens, which is coming past in front of me now, the front roller fills the gap in between the two back rolls. A little bit tricky because you can't just open the front of the engine and get your push rod in to clear out the tube. The traction engines have only got, traction engines and rollers have really only got 2 or 3 gears. Odd ones have got more gears than that, but before he actually starts doing the job. And here we've got the steam tractor owned and shown here by, well, it's James Blinkertoft's engine. James is not driving it at the moment, but that's a little Garrett steam tractor. That would be used for general haulage work, or in fact belly tank. No, not being rude, belly tank is quite a proper name for these auxiliary water tanks that will be carried on these little steam tractors. This tractor was originally used for pulling 10-ton trailer loads over to Ireland. If you look as this engine's coming past you can see just to the on the rear of the water tank there is what looks like half a bucket welded to the side of the water tank. Now that's where water can be put in using a hose pipe, but the water pickup point was there to help tow other vehicles, for winching trees out, for any sort of winching purpose you like. And it was actually mounted onto the axle of the tractor, of the engine itself. These winches are operated by the removal of the 2 driving pins, which we can see stuck in the back hub of the tractor. The 2 black pins in that, just by the hub of, this is where some of the skill of the engine drivers came into its own. They had to know their road, they had to know their corners and so on. This is again one of the skills that they needed. This large barrel that's coming past, the 16.5-tonner Lord Robert, is owned and driven by Jim Sarney, and he can really give some impressive heavy haulage demonstrations. And I think we'll see a little bit of haulage work in the future. Well, as the parade go on. Yes. Now we're in line in a brickyard, and he used to haul trailers, 3 trailers at a time, full of bricks in this brickyard in Kent. Shown here by the driver, Dave Marriott. So, happy birthday, Jimmy. Yeah, they're going to be on rubber tyres on the rear. This will sort of lift the back up by about 4 inches and make life a lot more comfortable. Now you notice the driver's mate here who's sitting on the red wheel. That wheel is in fact the handbrake. So when the engine stops, that brake is screwed on just to clamp the external contracting brake on the rear. Steam is produced. It goes through the high and low pressure cylinders, then through the crank to the gearbox. But just at the reverse of the flywheel, you'll notice there's a sprocket that's flying round horizontally. And that's driving a vertical shaft which goes down to that big wire drum, a big cotton bobbin, mounted underneath the belly of the engine. So that wire drum will probably have anything up to about 500 yards of wire rope on it, and it's used for ploughing. Now as these ploughing engines come past, I'll just try and explain how this ploughing operation takes place. But the Z7 was went out in 19... as you can see, as this fowler comes past, we've got the two big red levers situated just above the near side wheel, and those levers are used for the operating of the cable drum. Now with steam ploughing, the two engines are needed, and they have to be set up at either ends of the field. So really, and we can see here as this engine comes past, this is Ajax. Ajax is only a 20-ton Fowler ploughing engine. Now that in itself is a big one, but compare the size of that with the Z7. The Ajax was actually used by the Ministry of Munitions just after the First World War, and then subsequently owned by a contractor in Andover in Hampshire. Ploughing engines, Sentinel made a few railway shunters using the vertical boiler, which you can see is alongside Irvine, with the engine mounted, in this particular case, in the back of this box van. This really is a special. Irvine made this just to demonstrate that these Sentinel shunters, Sentinels made in Shrewsbury, with the vertical boiler, as you can see, it's just between the driver and his mate, and underneath the chassis is the engine. The S4 got 4 cylinders, and the steam is produced just the same way as another traction engine, by boiling a kettle, and a little bit of acceleration. That is there and present. And if you ever get the opportunity to see engines ploughing, do go and take advantage of it, because it's a sight that we very seldom see in this modern day and age, certainly with the new tractors that we have in use in agriculture. Albeit a miniature, built to exactly the same spec as the big one, the cylinder on this is horizontal. Now the miniature engines that we see in here in front of us are built to a scale. They're just scaled down versions of their big brothers. And this is a single crank compound engine. Single crank compound, so we're using it. 2 licensees. They can be taxed and used on the road just the same way as any other vehicle. Now another 4-inch scale Foster, this time pulling his little trailer, shown here by loaded with his passengers. Now we've got a log lorry coming past. Trailer and doing remarkably well whilst he's at it. So we've now got a Fowler, a Foden, and again showing exactly the same as the full-size engine. Now, well, it's actually been in steam now and has been travelling to the rally field for over 12 years. Every month, allow you to pay for it. You've still got to do quite a lot of settling and putting together, but this will enable you to build your own steam engine over a period of time. And again, we've got a 6-inch scale. This is exactly half the full size of a Foden C-type compound wagon.